Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Paige, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 7. This is going to be my review for episode 6 of this season. We're like over a quarter of the way through this season. This episode is otherwise entitled Due Process. But of course, before we get into the rest of the video, spoiler alert, because I'm going to be talking about spoilers and there's some pretty big ones in this episode. So go watch the episode, then come back to this video later on if you have not seen it. But if you are continuing, be sure to drop a like in the video if you enjoyed this episode, as well as just my video and my review in general. Be sure to show your support, and of course let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this episode. What did you like? What didn't you like? Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. The last episode was the big slab side exposed episode, I guess, where we saw Oliver on level 2, and he was facing the demon, who we thought, might have been that doctor, but it was actually, the heir to the demon, that being Talia al Ghul. So that was a big surprise having her in the episode. Oliver worked with her, she got out, she escaped, killed that doctor in the process, and was able to actually take some information for Slab's side and all their doings within it, and give that to, Laurel, Felicity, all of them to essentially expose Slab's side. And that's still going to be going on for a bit, because it just doesn't happen like that. It would be a bit unrealistic, but, it's helping in the cause of what's going on. But then we ended off that episode with us in Russia, and we're like, why are we here? And it's actually because the Bratva has essentially been all killed, and Diaz has Anatoly and is bringing him back to Star City to do some stuff to him. So Anatoly is not in the best of shape. And as I usually do from now on, all the flash forward stuff, I'm not going to talk about it as it appears in the episode because it just makes it all broken up. I'll be talking about the whole flashback storyline, or the flash forward storyline, sorry, in this episode at the end of this video. So after the present day, we'll talk about the flash forward, because I guess that makes sense chronologically. But we do see that Oliver is back on level 1 with Stanley, so everything's back to normal. Stanley is absolutely stoked to have his best friend back on level 1, because obviously he wasn't suffering, but I don't think he would have been still looking behind his back every now and then, you'd think, with Oliver not there. But we do see that Brooke is being not treated the best and stuff like that, which obviously leads into some other stuff that happens this episode. But the main thing with Oliver in the beginning of this episode is that Oliver and Laurel scene right at the beginning of the episode, which was probably the best scene of the episode. Off the top of my head, it probably was the best scene, like a one-on-one scene. It was probably them two had the best one. But essentially, Laurel is just presenting like, yo, I'm taking this to court, blah, blah, blah. And Oliver seemed like, I can understand the point of view where Oliver's coming from in regards to like the relationship with him and this Laurel. It just did seem a bit ungrateful at the same time, but I don't know. I don't think you can pick a side, but Oliver did seem ungrateful. Like, cause, I can understand not trusting Laurel because I don't think she's built up enough of a case to be fully like 100% trusted, but Oliver still should have said like, oh, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. He shouldn't have been like, oh, blah, 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 and be super ungrateful, but you can understand where he was coming from that situation, but yeah, I don't think you could pick a side. But as we know, Felicity and Earth 2 Laurel, or just Laurel as we're calling now, are best friends. They're the best of friends, and they hit the field together. A good old field trip with the two, and actually randomly joined by Renee. But we do find out that Anatoly is in that munitions thing, or they saw the Longbow hunters going into, and essentially he's being used as bait, essentially, to try to kill them, but also to almost kill SCPD, and Argus. I think Argus had been drawn there just because of the break-in. But I don't know if that was actually... let me know in the comment section down below. Was that mentioned throughout the episode that was almost a plan to bring all those three groups together, like the SCPD, Argus, and then Team Arrow? Was that like their plan to bring them all together to blow them up? Or was that just a coincidence? Let me know in the comment section down below if that's addressed, because I might have missed it, but I'm not too sure. But this was a pretty big episode for Laura because we see her not trusted by everyone apart from Felicity. Like, everyone else is like, you might not be able to join our little crew here, you might have to leave. And Laurel is obviously pissed off about that because she's done a lot leading up to this point. But obviously Felicity is the one that has to go to her and just try and convince her and essentially beg to her just to, hang on, at least to help in this department and stuff like that. So like that's a big thing in this episode. They had to have that happen for something else at the end of the episode to be better in like a narrative sort of sense. So I understand why they did it, but it just did seem a bit weird. Like, Team Arrow has worked with worse people than Laurel in the past, so it just seemed a bit out there, but at least Felicity was able to go there and try and just convince her to stay on just for a tiny bit longer. But essentially the big part of this, like this present day episode storyline, is Diaz is planning an attack, a big attack, and it's their time to stop him, which is, it's been done before, but, I think it led to some pretty cool stuff. But the first plan is in regards to like putting Anatoly in there and getting information and stuff like that. Really did put his life at risk, and it led to a scene between Diggle and Felicity where Felicity was willing to risk a man's life. And she didn't seem, like she said she was sympathetic, but she really didn't look sympathetic. And they've been doing this whole season where Felicity is going to the extreme to try and help Oliver out, which I've said before. I understand maybe the execution isn't that great because they are making Felicity a bit weird. However, it does tie into stuff in the future, which I thought was great. This actually makes sense in regards to a narrative aspect, which I was hoping was like, look, you can't just have this and then it just go back to normal Felicity afterwards. There has to be some sort of consequence, as I've been saying in previous reviews and stuff like that. And there has been a consequence. We've had that consequence confirmed, but we will talk about that when we get to the flash forward stuff. But the Diggle Felicity argument, I thought was a right one to have brought up, because it would have been weird if like Diggle and his morals just like completely ignored that situation, because it was a bit out there. But we do see Stanley the Man, or Stan the Man, framed for murder, and he's sent off to the shoe, or solitude confinement, whatever it's, solitary confinement. God, I almost had a brain fart. Solitary confinement. He's off there in his little box and stuff. But we do find out that the guards are actually going in there and beating him up. So Stanley's just copping it. He's not doing that well. But Oliver goes on like a little excavation trip and stuff and finds the weapon. And it's actually the shiv that Bronze Tiger had been carrying around. So Bronze Tiger is dobbed in by Oliver to get Stanley out, and Bronze Tiger is chucked back into solitary confinement. And Brick and Derek Sampson were like, oh, okay, well, that sort of sucks. But obviously something big happens in regards to that, but we'll talk about that later. But we do get that court scene with Laurel that we saw in the trailers, and she presents the information. It almost seems like it's going well, but I think we all knew it wasn't going to go that well. Like, it wasn't going to go through that court case straight away and just be like, oh, hunky-dory, Oliver's out of prison. Obviously, the judge agreed, like the FBI didn't really hold up their end of the deal, and there's a slab side stuff and all of that, and stuff with Diaz. However, they couldn't really overturn Oliver's decision like that, which I think we all thought wasn't going to be the case. Like, it might be a bit rushed and just be a bit very convenient if Oliver was just let go like that. In real life, that wouldn't happen. That'd be a massive process. So it was actually good that Oliver didn't get out of prison in regards to that, but obviously other things are going to be moving along in regards to what the other stuff that Laurel was able to present. But obviously due to this, like, Laurel and Oliver were able to have another talk, and Oliver was he actually said thankful and actually was grateful for that situation. So I guess the beginning scene makes sense that Oliver can sort of forgive himself, or forgive Laurel for the way or say sorry to Laurel, might I say, in regards to what he was doing before. So I guess that makes sense in regards to why those two scenes were vastly different. But speaking of that, that court scene, obviously Laurel got frustrated and stuff, and she actually gave this speech about, like, it's easier to be the villain than it is to be the hero. Like, it's very hard to be a hero. And obviously this was very resonant with Laurel as a character, and obviously the journey she's going through. But obviously because of, her failing in getting Oliver out, she's going to go and attack that judge by screaming at her. But obviously Dinah was able to get in the road, and was actually very lucky that Dinah was there and able to hold Laurel back. Now, Laurel wasn't completely like, okay, I understand you. She walked away pretty huffed and puffed and not that happy, but it was good that Dinah was there to stop Laurel in that situation. But this all leads up to this end fight scene with the bombs going off, which we said before in Arrow, it's a typical thing, but it's not boring, but it's nothing new. It always happens. But we do get the new Green Arrow coming in for a scene and helping stop Diaz, which is pretty cool. But isn't something where they just like, oh, Diaz gets stopped and they run away. The Longbow Hunters like ditch Diaz. I thought they were going to like do something to try and actually rescue him, but they just completely like leave him. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. So Silencer, Red Dart, and Kodiak just left, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. So now Diaz is actually in custody. He's actually going to prison. Now we do see Felicity give this new identity to Anatoly. I think it was like Jason Brown, I think, at the top of my head, from Colorado. I think that's what was said. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Jason Brown or something like that. But Anatoly ends up giving Felicity a gun as well. Now, if Anatoly and Felicity had already had a conversation about like the way Oliver would have gone about things when like Oliver was with Anatoly before, he would have just taken Diaz out and stuff like that, which leads into Felicity actually taking the gun into the holding little room that Diaz was in, and is going to shoot him. Like, she's actually going to shoot him. Like, she was hesitating, but I think if Laurel didn't come in at that point, she actually would have killed Diaz. I think she just would have hesitated. Now Diaz was like, come shoot me, because I don't think Diaz himself thought that Felicity was going to do it, but Felicity was in the mindset of what this Oliver that was with Anatoly, and what Oliver, when he was getting things done, what he would have done. So I think Felicity would have actually shot him. Like, she would have hesitated, but I think she would have actually ended up shooting him. But obviously Laurel comes in and actually reveals like, yo, stop. What are you doing, you crazy son of a bitch? Stop. Just stop. We've actually made a deal. Oliver's actually going to be getting out of prison. Diaz is going to be going in as long as Oliver helps with all the investigation with the FBI and all of that. So Oliver's going to be getting out. Now, this isn't going to be some instant thing. I think there is going to be a bit of a waiting time. However, you know, this makes sense in regards to what's going on there. I think this is a lawful process that would have gone on. I guess the interesting thing is whether Diaz will go to prison while Oliver's still in there. I am hoping we do get an Oliver versus Diaz prison fight, and I really, really think we will. I think Diaz will go to prison while Oliver's still in there. There's going to be like basically like a grey area where they're both in there, like when Diaz is just coming in and Oliver's about to get out, and we are going to get a big confrontation and possibly a big fight between them two, which would be pretty cool. But obviously that gun does connect to some stuff in the future stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. But the end scene in regards to the whole episode, I think it was, but also just the present day storyline, is Stanley coming out and referencing Bronze Tiger's Shiv. He references it. However, Oliver never mentioned it. No one would have mentioned it to Stanley. So how did Stanley know? Hashtag Stanley exposed. Mate, you're stuffed up. Keep your mouth shut. Don't reveal information that you don't think is all out there. Stanley is stuffed up. Oliver is extremely suspicious. And I think we might see that all come to a head next episode on Arrow, so I cannot wait. But on to the flash forwards. Obviously, the stuff that a lot of people look forward to in every single episode of Arrow. We do find out that Felicity obviously died last episode, but she was actually murdered. So what happened is that Felicity basically separated herself from like the vigilante resistance and just like Dinah and all the vigilantes and stuff like that, and actually went underground and got like sort of mixed with the dark stuff going on and actually became the calculator. So she took on the mantle of the calculator, which obviously was her father's mantle. Now we do find out she wasn't killed like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, only a few weeks back. So Felicity was still the same person to send that thing to William. So we all thought, okay, she died. So who the hell sent this thing to William? Was it Diggle? Was it Thea? Who sent this to William? It was still Felicity. It's just that shortly after she would have sent it to, sent all this stuff to William to, you know, end up him going to Leanne Yu, she died. So I guess the big thing is, was this like a last, like, effort thing? Was Felicity like dying slowly, or did she know she was going to be ambushed and killed? So she sent this thing off to William as like a last hope for him to possibly go about and stop what was, you know, going to happen in the future. Because when we get to Felicity's bunker and we do that cool sequence with it's very reminiscent of the pilot for Arrow with the shooting of the tennis balls. Even they're like, I think they're like little holograms or sort of things. Like just, yeah, I think that's what they were. Something like that. We do find out there's a big plan to actually level all of Star City. So it's basically the reverse of Season 1, which was to level the Glades. In this future storyline, it's to level the rest of Star City. As we know, the Glades have risen. So the rest of Star City is basically what's the opposite of what was going on in Season 1. But this is what they're trying to stop. So was this what Felicity was trying to do? Felicity was a part of this. So it was Felicity like backing off at the last minute, but she was killed to, you know, keep the plan going. But she sent this off to William to basically collect people, you know, as in Roy, possibly Dinah and stuff like that, to actually stop this from happening in the future. That seems what's happening here. So Felicity turned into a villain, but the end, before she was killed, it seems that she did the last heroic thing that was possible for her, and that was to just try and stop it by giving the information to someone else like William, so he can round everyone else up to actually try and stop it. But we do find out that the last person that Felicity was in contact with was Black Star. Now, I don't know who that is. If you have any ideas who Black Star could be, let me know in the comment section down below. Black Star. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who it could be. You have to think someone. It could be Curtis. Is that racist because it's Black Star? I don't know. It could be Curtis. I don't know who it could be. Let me know in the comment section down below who do you think Black Star is. Because you have to think they're like some sort of technological person maybe, or at least someone in the know. So let me know who you think Black Star could be, because I'm intrigued. But we did find out that the message that was in the bow that made them go to Star City was the Mark of 4. Was that what it was called? The Mark of 4. Yeah, the Mark of 4. What was in the bow? Now, that could mean the quadrant. It could mean something to do with the ninth circle. It could mean just something to do in all of this. But hopefully we find out soon enough, because I'm confused as hell. Mark of 4, like I guess quadrant, 4, but I don't know. I'm intrigued. Let me know what you think. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode. I thought it was, once again, continuing the strong start that Arrow's had. Arrow has not had a falter this season in regards to an episode. It's just ridiculously good how the storytelling's going. The prison stuff is still interesting. The present day storyline is still intriguing, keeping you captivated, tied into everything. And the future storyline, the flash forwards, are also incredibly interesting. And they're not basing it too much of like, oh, it has to be connected to the present day. They are sort of setting up their own stuff, which is really cool. And I am liking the interactions there in all of them, in the prison, the present day, and also the flash forwards as well. So Arrow's just going from strength to strength, and Beth Schwartz is doing an amazing job. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like in the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this episode. What'd you like? What didn't you like? Did you like this episode overall? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.